Welcome back. This, of course, is K24 this morning. Time for us to get up close and personal, and quite a pertinent discussion to have this morning, especially in a year that has seen lots of layoffs happening, lots of talk of redundancy in the corporate environment. How do you bounce back from that? And if you have a dream that you've been holding on to and thinking about, probably this is the time I need to dare out and do something different, how do you actually go about that? We're having that particular conversation right here with a man who started off doing cargo operations at JKIA, is now in real estate, but he went via Dubai. He went and tried and got a job there. And at times, Dubai is not all fun and games as you see on the gram. We'll be talking about that and plenty more with my guest this morning. I'm joined by John Munge. He's the director of Emmaus Affordable Homes, talking about his journey from the start up until now and how you can actually go ahead and seize your dreams regardless of the space you are in. Bwana John, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Interesting conversation we are having, because for me, I actually thought that you started off in a marketing career and found yourself in real estate, but you are a guy for cargo operations for quite a while at the airport.
Yeah, sure. I worked there for close to 10 years because my training is in airport operations and air cargo management. So after serving as a freight planning and planning executive, I saw the job as being monotonous for me. And again, I had other ambitions like owning big parcels of land, living in my own house with a big family. So that's what motivated me to join real estate. And I started in Urithi Housing Cooperative, as I told you earlier.
Right. And even as we spoke about that particular phase in which you are at the airport, surely there could have been very many other ways to do this. You could have looked for, a different department within JKIA to work in, or a different airline to work for. What made you feel that, okay, fine, probably I need to start a totally different business or get into a different business space?
Okay, to start with, I applied so many jobs in different airlines, both locally and foreign. And a friend of mine advised me if I could get to Dubai, probably I could join Emirates. And it was well rewarding, and that's what I did exactly. I moved to Dubai in hustle for a job, but I would tell you it was not a walk in the park. I tarmacked for long.
Let me quote, you told me it was hell. Yeah. You went there and it was not what you thought.
It was not what I thought. I thought maybe I could land tonight because I left on the evening flights of Emirates. I got there at about 11 p.m. I thought the following morning companies will be looking for me, but that was not the case. I started by carrying so many CVs, dropping what they call the walk-ins. You walk to a place where they are conducting interviews. And my friend had advised me that you will take any job that is available.
Right.
But deep in me, I said, no, I'm someone who have specialized in cargo operations, airport operations. So I would want to be aligned with my career, especially now that I'm working in a foreign country, because that would give me higher place in the industry.
Yeah. And how did that go? Did you actually approach Emirates to try and get a job?
I visited Dubai International Airport, the Emirates headquarters. It was on a weekend, so things are slow there on a weekend. So I just slid down the CVs. I did not get a response. I was doing both the physical dropping of CVs and applying online, but it did not go the way I would expect. And of course, I attended so many interviews. There were readily available jobs like cashiers, in hotel, and jobs like waiters, security, but I could not take any of those.
Right.
Because of the reasons that I mentioned.
So what were you doing to survive for those 2 months that you were tarmacking in Dubai? People aren't taking your CV seriously to call you back for an interview. What were you doing?
I was purely using the money I was paid as my final dues at JKIA. So almost it got depleted there. Life is not as cheap as you may expect. So I was spending that money. I could ask for support from my parents. Then after extension of the visa, after two months, it could no longer be extended. So I had to come back home.
Right.
And start things on a clean slate.
And you know, it's interesting because even as you talk about that, you moved out of JKIA, went to Dubai, it didn't work out. When you come back home, you know, as a man now, the responsibilities are still there.
Yeah, sure.
Family is still there. That didn't work out. What was going on through your mind once you landed at JKIA, you're back, and the plan you had didn't work out? If anything, you just spent all your savings in a foreign land.
I was prepared for the worst because I knew it would no longer be easy. So I'm a talented dancer, and that was my first thing in my mind, that I could perform in clubs here and there with the other groups and get some coin to sustain myself as I look for a job. But I was not ready to go back to JKIA because that would mean I would be committed there for a longer period.
Right.
So I looked for a sales job that would not be more demanding, so that I can have free time to strategize and see where I will land. Yeah.
And how did you get now your first opportunity to get into real estate, so to
My
speak?
first opportunity came by surprise. As I was walking in town near Odeon, there is a signboard there. I saw that Urithi Housing Cooperative was looking for marketers, and immediately I walked in a cyber cafe and sent my CV. The following Monday, I got a call from someone in Urithi, and that's how I started as a marketer.
Right.
Yes.
How was it now in this particular environment? Because when you're in cargo, dealing with cargo at airports, it's not usually a place where you get to interact with people that much. How did it, be going from this particular skill to this marketing skill that you
in
needed to have?
cargo, I was used to work behind a PC, not interacting with so many people. But now, here I am as a salesperson. I'm supposed to talk to so many people. It was a challenge from the start, but I got used through, of course, many trainings here and there, and the experience when I'm interacting with these people.
Right.
Yes.
And even as talking about that, it seems like that wasn't enough for you. You decided to actually start your own outfit with the experience that you got. Let's talk about Emmaus Affordable Homes, because we're coming off a year that has seen very many people have to step out of their workplaces either voluntarily or because of the redundancy that has taken place. And you're getting out in a space where you've been employed for a while, and now you have to go and either start tarmacking like you did or start your own business. How was it starting, getting this operation up and running?
Okay, throughout interacting with customers and observing what is taking place in the market, I realized there is a gap that need to be filled, and that is taking care of people who are working in Nairobi and would not want to purchase land beyond an hour's drive from Nairobi. And together with my other directors, we decided that we can take care of that. And of course, we were connected with people who own land in the neighborhood, not far from Nairobi. So we negotiate for good rates so that we can pass on the advantage to the final consumer.
Right. When you put it like that, it sounds very easy, that you just brought your people together, you managed to negotiate, the land was gotten, here we are moving. And from what you know in business, it's never a straight line.
It's never a straight
How was it, in fact, getting the land or getting the money to buy the land? How was it doing that for a new outfit? Because I'm sure the bigger players in the market.
Yeah.
So how are you getting to that space and competing?
Okay, we had to raise capitals, of course, through loans here and there. And one thing is because my other directors, their credit score is quite high, and we have good relationship with banks and other lenders, so it's been easy to approach them and get a deal here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
And even for you, because money is one aspect, but for a business person or putting a business together, from what you've learned so far as an entrepreneur, what's the biggest skill one should have getting into the business space, especially now with what the business environment looks like?
Number one, you need to be very good in negotiation, because there is no guide for prices for land. If you don't get a good deal where you negotiate for proper rates, you might end up buying land at a very expensive price. And when you get to the market, you find that the response is quite low because people will say you are overpriced. So another thing is that you need to be very committed because this is one business that demands a lot of time, a lot of travel, long meetings, because some vendors are not based in Nairobi. Maybe they bought land long ago and now they have their retirement home elsewhere outside Nairobi. So you must be willing and ready to travel odd hours, wake up very early, maintain your diary well because you might miss an appointment here and there. It's not that easy.
And for someone who left formal employment because they wanted to have more time to themselves, do you have that now, or do you realize that running the business now requires more of you than you should have as an employee?
Before you get into that, you'll think that now I'll be the boss, I'll be overseeing things. But when you start, you realize that I'm the person who's running the show, because you wouldn't want to have a single mistake happening within your watch. So you'd be more involved in running the business. Yes.
And for you, what's the biggest challenge been in terms of being in this particular space as a business person?
The biggest challenge is that generally real estate in Kenya has been affected recently. I know it's by the ongoing scrutiny by the banks. There is cash flow has been affected. That is one big challenge because in real estate you have to move your products fast so that you can process the documentation. Because for a customer, what he expects is the final ownership document, which is a title deed. So if the uptake is quite low, then it will affect the entire business. Yeah.
And for very many people talking about real estate having a bubble that is about to burst, the best days of this business are gone. What's your sentiment in terms of that?
I believe everyone would want a piece of land or a house that they can call their own, because again, land will not increase to the same size, and the whole population is competing to own a portion. So for me, I believe the opportunity is still there. You just need to offer best services to the clients and meet more people, more prospective buyers, and meet their needs. The first is to understand the need so that now you can come up with a solution.
Yeah. And even as you talk about this now, because most people always have that sentiment and they usually ask as children, when I grow up, I want to be. When you are a younger person and you're a teenager, when you're getting into formative years, did you ever think you wanted to go to business? Or that younger John, what did he want to be when he grows up?
I had so many expectations because I grew up in family business.
What was the family doing then?
We were selling merchandise in Loitoktok open air market, and I can say that's where I got skills on how to talk with the customer until we reach an agreement, then you buy. But deep in me, I wanted to be a pilot. That's why I landed in JKIA. I was hoping maybe after some time I can go back to school and study that. But things took a different shape, but I'm not regretting. I believe I should be somewhere where I'm interacting with people, and that's what I enjoy doing.
And one thing that I get is that you know how to bounce back from different disappointments. I'm assuming the dream for a pilot, and you realized it wasn't going to materialize, you felt a certain way. You aren't too pleased probably with now the new course that happened. Same thing in Dubai. How do you deal with these disappointments? Because as a person, at times they weigh on you, and now we're having issues of people getting into depression because they can't do what they want to do or they can't achieve a certain goal. You could have gotten depressed when you're in Dubai, no savings and coming back to Kenya.
Yeah, one thing is I believe in collecting my pieces and getting myself up again, and never to allow disappointed to be to take part of me, because that can easily finish you. So I believe in being strong, and I cannot choose which job to go for. I can hawk, I can go to Gikomba and sell. I can do many other things. Yeah, so without looking for the status. Because the status are for the day.
Right.
So if I find myself waking up today as a tout, I will do it and do it well.
Right.
Then I can be promoted to another level.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And when it comes to even issues in terms of business guidance, mentorship, that thing, do you have mentors who you talk to, and who are they?
Yeah,
Whether people you know or probably people you just look up to?
Yeah, one is Mr. Maina, who is the chairman of Urithi Housing Cooperative. He has mentored me. I have Mr. Wallace Ngoge, who was my boss in Urithi. The other guys, Fabian Maina, we worked together throughout my career in Urithi. And we still interact on daily basis.
Right.
Because again, this business is not a hit and run business. It's a journey. We start by introduction. I take you to the site, you see whatever property you wanted to buy, until I hand over a title deed to you. So we're still serving,
Right.
because this is a cooperative,
Right.
where I'm a member, and I still have my customers that I need at the end of the day to make sure that they are satisfied,
Right.
and we deliver the promise.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And for many people, you know, they hear that part of you saying that it's a journey and you're together with the customer until the end. But the stories we see in the media, at times what people will say happens on the ground, you know, vile wanasemanga vitu kwa ground ni different.
different.
You're gone, you're shown this land, and then the title deed doesn't correspond. The person who should have dealt that is up with the wind because you've paid. How do you deal with that and restore confidence in a sector where people are very afraid? You want to buy land, but you're never sure if this is legitimate documentation you have or not. What tips do you give your brother or your friend who wants to buy land?
Number one, I will assure you that for me to sell land, I have to buy. So it starts with me as a buyer to the vendor. So I will do all the due diligence, of course, with my other experts like lawyers, there is surveyors. I will involve them, will conduct searches. So by the time I'm committing my coin, I know that I'm buying genuine thing. So for the customer, he should be comfortable waiting for the process to complete. I know the fear is there, but I can assure you that I would not want to get myself in a scandal,
Right.
just because I got it wrong from the start.
Right.
But our search and due diligence is very thorough. Yeah.
And for the real estate space and for you as a business person, so people see when they get into a particular space, now they want to go back to school and learn, you know, do a certain business course, a professional course for them to, you know, up their skill in business.
Yeah.
Has that occurred to you? Are you in the process of doing that? How does it look between what you learn in terms of business school and what the business is, especially with real estate?
With real estate, I've identified an opportunity. As John Monga, I'm thinking of going back to class and study land survey. Because all these people I'm selling land to, I've sold to so many, they would want someone to guide them to locate their land. Because you've had so many people saying, I bought a piece of land, but I can't remember where it was.
Right.
So I think because I'm committing myself full-time to real estate, would consider going for that.
Into that.
Yeah.
So that would be the next venture now, book-wise, to make sure you're up to skill with that.
Sure.
And with the trends right now, what do you see people going next? Because you say it's just an hour's drive. If somebody wants to get a house from Emmaus, you know, affordable homes, it's an hour's drive from the city or the CBD.
Yeah.
How do you ensure you know that happens? Because people are saying getting land around this area is not exactly cheap. When you think about
So
it.
we are aligning our research on where the government's development in terms of infrastructure is coming up. That's why our first project is along the southern bypass, because the phase we are selling right now is Kikuyu Ridges. It's 38 kilometers from CBD. So someone would live there comfortably and commute daily to and from work.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, we are going to have a couple of pictures on screen in just a bit, and you'll tell us what was going on in those pictures at that time in John's life. But before we do that, before we get to the pictures, let's talk about the family. How's the family set up? The children? How do you balance time between having to travel to look at a piece of land in you know, Kikuyu and do the long meetings and handle family as well?
That bit wasn't expecting to discuss that, but I would say Vindo Vichenjaga. Fortunately, we broke up with my wife during that transition from JKIA now to real estate, yeah, I'm a father of one daughter. She's called Vicky.
Right.
Yeah, I take care of her.
Right.
Yeah, because she lives with her mom within Nairobi. Yeah.
As we talk about that, we have a couple of pictures as well that you can have up on screen. Here we are. Where was this piece of land? What was going on here? We can see the tablet looking at something on the other side.
Yeah, so the tablet is connected to the system and was trying to identify which plots have been booked, which have not.
Right.
Because we did not want to have a scenario whereby we'll have double allocation. Yes.
So these are some of the customers from
customers and salespeople. Yes.
Okay. So just another day in the business. Right here, of course, talking about what's happening in the office space.
This was immediately after training the salespeople. Was describing different house models.
Right.
Yes.
And for you, where did you get your training so that you can pass it on to?
My training I got from Murithi Housing.
Right.
Yes.
So that's why when you talk about your mentors, they're the ones who really taught you.
Those are the guys I know.
The business.
Yes.
Okay, here we have a very young John. What was going on?
The young John was now immediately after my promotion at JKIA, a company I was working for in cargo department. Yeah, I can remember that T-shirt was given to me by British Airways Cargo.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So this was just after the promotion on that particular day.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic stuff right there. And of course, this one right here, is this another piece of land or are you enjoying yourself? I can see a scenic, pond or dam in the background.
Yeah, that's where I bought my first parcel of land. It's in Kabati. I have the title. That's why I'm telling you it's a journey. And
when you say your piece of land, this is not yours specifically, but it was for you to sell as well? Or is this John's own piece of land?
Yeah.
This is yours?
Yeah.
So are we planning on building, because I mean, that background looks very scenic.
Of course, it's a big parcel, owned by different people, but I have a portion there.
Right.
Yeah. I was planning maybe to have a home there, but I would think about it later because I have others that I'm in the process of acquiring, and others are almost in completion. Yes.
Okay. And for someone who probably is thinking about getting into the space of real estate, like you've said, what advice would you give them, even as we are winding up? Because it might seem easy to get in there and sell land until you start trying to do that. Yeah. What should you advise? Because we are coming to the end of 2019, getting into 2020. If somebody wants to have that as a resolution, get into real estate. Yeah. If you sat down and have a chat with them, what advice would you give?
I would tell someone to do their research very well, know your networks, have good partners, and of course be ready to part with good money because it is capital intensive and must be prepared with all that and never rush into doing very big projects. Right. Because you might easily burn your fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
And even as we end up, let's talk about burning our fingers right before we close, because that's one thing not many people will talk about. So someone listens to you and thinks you get in there, all you need is the money, you buy the land and people will buy. But at times, unachomeka, you learn the hard way. How did that happen for you? Have you had to lose some money in that particular process?
In that particular process, I have not lost, but I've seen likelihood of making losses, especially if you don't get everything right from the onset. Yeah. Okay.
And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you online, is there a place they can get you personally on social media, whether it's Facebook
personally,
or
I
Twitter,
have a page,
email?
It's called John Munga Property Corner, or John Munga, my timeline. And you can log into Emmaus Homes.
Okay.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So John Munga Property Corner is on Facebook?
Yeah.
And John Munga is on Twitter as well?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic stuff. If they want to take up that discussion further, they can get you there to discuss all the intricacies of this particular business. Right. I'll see you. Okay. Thank you so much, Bwana John.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and sharing your story. The ups and downs, of course, of this particular business that is, and it's never a straight line, like he was saying. Thought he'd get opportunities in Dubai with his CV, that didn't work. Came back broke, started from the bottom, now building his business as far as Emmaus Affordable Homes is concerned. But the thing is, bouncing back every single time there's a setback, getting up close and personal with John Munga, the director, of course, of Emmaus Affordable Homes. So if you have that plan and that dream that you want to get into next year, it's as good as any other time to jump into the business and do exactly that. We take a break. We're back with plenty more right here. This is K24 This Morning.